You cannot plow a field using an elephant. Long before modern tractors ruled the farmland of North Carolina, lawmakers apparently woke up one day gripped by a very specific fear. Someone might try to farm with an elephant. And instead of saying, "That's unlikely," they did what lawmakers do best: they wrote a law. This statute officially bans using elephants for plowing fields, which raises far more questions than it answers. Who was the first person to look at a massive circus animal and think, "Yes, that's my farming solution"? Was there a traveling circus that lost an elephant to agriculture? Did a farmer think tractors were overrated and decide raw muscle was the future? Whatever happened, it was serious enough that the state stepped in. This law quietly sits in the books like a historical scar, reminding us that at some point, common sense was not common enough. Today, even though no one is realistically trying to guide an elephant through cornrows while yelling farming instructions, the law remains unchanged, unimpressed, and very real. It's the legal equivalent of saying, "We don't care how creative you feel today, leave the elephants out of it." And honestly, it might be the most polite way a government has ever told its citizens, "Please stop experimenting." Alcohol sales are restricted on Sunday mornings. Sunday morning in North Carolina is not just a time, it's a test of patience. For decades, this law made it illegal to buy alcohol before noon on Sundays, turning grocery stores into emotional obstacle courses for unprepared shoppers. You could stand inches away from beer, wine, and liquor, staring at it longingly, yet legally forbidden to touch it. Why? Because lawmakers believed Sundays should begin with worship, reflection, and moral superiority, not mimosas. This rule earned the nickname the Blue Law, because nothing says spiritual discipline like denying brunch drinks. Over time, parts of the law relaxed, but restrictions still exist in many counties, meaning your zip code determines how early joy is allowed. Tourists learn this lesson the hard way, clutching six-packs while employees politely explain that time itself is currently illegal. The law doesn't prevent drinking, it prevents early enthusiasm. And even today, it stands as proof that North Carolina once believed the real danger to society wasn't to crime or chaos. It was someone enjoying beer before church. Using profane language on public roads is illegal. In North Carolina, the road is not a place for emotional expression, at least not loud emotional expression. According to this law, using obscene, profane, or indecent language on public highways can land you in legal trouble. That means yelling insults at traffic, screaming at red lights, or verbally attacking potholes could technically violate the law. This statute assumes roads should be calm spaces of civic harmony, not live therapy sessions fueled by bad drivers. The irony is that traffic itself seems designed to provoke profanity, yet the law politely insists you suffer in silence. Honking is acceptable, screaming is suspicious, muttering is recommended. This law exists like a disappointed parent, shaking its head at humanity's inability to stay composed behind the wheel. While rarely enforced today, it remains on the books, quietly judging every driver who whispers something unholy when cut off. It's a reminder that at some point, lawmakers truly believed they could legislate politeness, especially at 70 miles per hour. You can't pull a cow down the street on a rope. At some point in history, North Carolina had to officially declare that cows do not belong on public streets, especially not tied to ropes like oversized dogs. This law prohibits dragging or leading livestock down public roads because apparently people needed clarification. Imagine lawmakers watching traffic halt as a confused cow blocks Main Street, questioning every life decision that led to this moment. This statute protects animals from stress and citizens from chaos, because nothing disrupts civic order faster than farm animals discovering asphalt. The law doesn't hate cows, it respects them enough to say, "This is not your environment." Today, no one realistically tries this, but the law remains as a warning from the past. Rural creativity once exceeded reasonable limits. It's also proof that if a law exists, someone absolutely did it first. Bingo is strictly regulated. In North Carolina, bingo is not just a game. It's a regulated operation bordering on national security. This law tightly controls who can host bingo games, how often they can be held, and how much money can be won. You can't casually organize bingo night without permission, because lawmakers feared bingo could spiral into unchecked excitement. Prizes are capped, organizations are vetted, and rules are enforced with surprising seriousness. Forget underground poker games. North Carolina was worried about grandmas getting too powerful with bingo cards. The law treats bingo as something that must be contained, controlled, and supervised, just in case someone shouts bingo with too much enthusiasm. While it's meant to regulate charitable fundraising, it unintentionally turned one of the calmest games in existence into a legal minefield. And yes, the law still exists, silently reminding everyone that fun should always come with paperwork. You can't hold a bingo game lasting more than 5 hours. North Carolina lawmakers looked at bingo, a game famously associated with patience, folding chairs, and quiet tension, and decided it needed a time limit. According to this law, bingo games cannot legally last more than 5 hours, because apparently after that point, bingo becomes dangerous. The law imagines a scenario where citizens enter a bingo hall innocent and hopeful, only to emerge hours later transformed, obsessed, and unable to function in normal society. It is the only place where 5 straight hours of saying B12 is considered a public concern. The rule exists to prevent fatigue, over-gambling, and what lawmakers likely feared most: bingo anarchy. You can picture officials imagining players refusing to leave, dabbers drying out, numbers echoing endlessly into the night. Even though modern bingo games rarely push that limit, the law stands firm, stopwatch in hand, reminding everyone that even the calmest fun must eventually stop. In North Carolina, fun is fine. Timed fun is better. You can't have a raffle unless you follow very specific rules. In most places, a raffle is harmless. In North Carolina, it's practically a government project. This law strictly regulates raffles, limiting who can host them, how often they can be held, and how much money can be raised. You can't just grab a bucket, write names on paper, and call it a fundraiser. The law treats raffles like they might accidentally turn into underground economies. Why? Because at some point, lawmakers feared raffles could blur into gambling, corruption, or people having slightly too much hope. The rules are so detailed that organizing a raffle incorrectly could make you less of a volunteer and more of a criminal. This law remains on the books as a reminder that chance, even friendly chance, must be supervised. In North Carolina, luck requires paperwork. You can't live in a house without proper ventilation. This law makes it illegal to live in a house without proper ventilation, which sounds obvious until you realize it had to be written down. At some point, people were absolutely living in spaces with zero airflow, and the state decided enough was enough. The law exists to protect public health, but it also quietly suggests that people once tried to pass off sealed boxes as housing. Imagine lawmakers inspecting homes and realizing residents were surviving purely on hope and stale air. So they made it illegal. Today, the law still exists, silently enforcing the idea that breathing should not be optional. It's not a flashy rule, but it is one of those laws that proves regulations exist because someone pushed things way too far first. You can't use explosives to catch fish. Yes, this law exists because someone absolutely thought explosives were an efficient fishing method. North Carolina officially banned using dynamite, bombs, or other explosives to catch fish because fish are meant to be caught, not launched into orbit. Lawmakers realized that blowing up rivers was not sustainable, safe, or reasonable, so they wrote a law that feels unnecessary until you remember humans. The law protects wildlife, water quality, and the basic idea that fishing should involve patience, not destruction. Yet despite how obvious it seems today, the law remains because history proved someone needed to be told this explicitly. It's a perfect example of legislation born from chaos. You must signal before turning, even on a bicycle. In North Carolina, bicycles are treated seriously. So seriously that cyclists must signal turns just like cars. That means hand signals are legally required because lawmakers wanted roads to be predictable, even when powered by leg muscles. This law exists to prevent confusion, collisions, and sudden swerves caused by surprise turns. While it makes sense for safety, it's also funny to imagine police pulling over a cyclist for failing to wave dramatically enough. The law still exists, reminding everyone that traffic rules don't care how tired your legs are. On North Carolina roads, if you turn, you signal. Whether you're driving a truck or pedaling for your life, it's illegal to steal kitchen grease. Law Act, North Carolina General Statutes, theft and property crimes. At some point in history, kitchen grease became valuable enough in North Carolina that lawmakers felt the urgent need to protect it with criminal law. This statute makes it illegal to steal grease, yes, used cooking grease, from restaurants or private property. While this sounds ridiculous, it exists because grease can be recycled into fuel, animal feed, or industrial products, and people were literally sneaking around behind restaurants like midnight raccoons, siphoning grease from dumpsters. Imagine a lawmaker hearing complaints from restaurant owners saying, "Someone stole my grease," and instead of laughing, the state said, "We'll handle this." The law treats grease theft like any other property crime, because once money enters the equation, dignity leaves the room. Today, the law still exists, silently guarding vats of old fryer oil across the state. It's proof that nothing is too gross to be regulated if there's profit involved. You can't operate a business from a house in certain areas. This law makes it illegal to operate certain businesses out of residential homes, depending on zoning rules, because lawmakers decided homes should stay homes and not turn into chaotic marketplaces. At some point, neighborhoods were apparently transforming into unofficial shopping districts, complete with customers, noise, traffic, and someone selling questionable services out of their living room. So the state stepped in and said, "Enough." This law exists to preserve peace, order, and the illusion that your neighbor is normal. While home businesses exist legally under strict guidelines, cross the line, and suddenly your spare bedroom salon becomes a zoning violation. The law still exists as a quiet boundary between domestic life and economic chaos, reminding citizens that just because you can run a business from your couch doesn't mean the government agrees. You can't use coins as weapons. This law exists because someone, somewhere, weaponized pocket change. North Carolina considers using coins as weapons during an assault a criminal offense because apparently money stopped being just money at some point and became ammunition. Whether it was thrown, swung, or packed into a sock, the state decided coins could cross into dangerous object territory. This law isn't about protecting coins, it's about protecting people from creative violence. Lawmakers realized that anything heavy enough and small enough can become a weapon if someone is angry and imaginative enough. So they wrote it down. The law still stands today, quietly reminding citizens that while money talks, it should not attack. You can't set off fireworks in certain places or times. Fireworks are fun until someone turns a quiet neighborhood into a war zone. This law restricts when and where fireworks can be used, because North Carolina decided explosions should come with boundaries. The statute exists to prevent fires, injuries, and emotional trauma to pets who never consented to chaos. While fireworks aren't completely banned, misuse can land you in serious trouble. This law was born from burned lawns, emergency calls, and citizens realizing that celebration should not include property damage. It still exists to this day, trying desperately to keep enthusiasm from becoming arson. You must yield to pedestrians, even if you're impatient. This law makes it illegal to ignore pedestrians at crosswalks, and while it sounds obvious, it exists because drivers needed to be told explicitly to calm down. North Carolina lawmakers decided that human beings walking across streets deserved legal protection from vehicles powered by impatience. The law enforces yielding, stopping, and not treating crosswalks like optional suggestions. It remains on the books because traffic chaos never truly goes away, and without it, pedestrians would simply be decorative obstacles. The law stands firm today, reminding drivers that speed does not outrank survival.